everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Get Ready. Excited about my special guest today. So I've known this gentleman for some time, have met him at a couple events. I don't even know, Mel, if you remember the first time we actually interacted. We didn't so much meet. I was at a Brendan Burchard event, and my wife was getting her picture taken with Brendan, and I went to take a picture, and you stopped me. And for everyone out there, Mel is a black belt. So, but he didn't, forcefully, just with that calm confidence of a martial arts master, made it clear that I was not to take that picture right then. But then we've gone on to meet at other events, and then my wife and I both attended Thoughtpreneur Academy. So real quick here, Mel is a CPA by education, but an entrepreneur by exhilaration, and author of the #1 bestseller, The Entrepreneur Solution: The Modern Millionaire's Path to More Profit, Fans, and Freedom. As the founder of the Affluence Blueprint, the Legacy Factor, and Thoughtpreneur Academy, he has been obsessed with helping people and entrepreneurs bring their businesses to life and build the lifestyle that they want. Believes that financial freedom is your birthright, which I am totally on board with. And so, welcome to Get Ready, Mel Abraham.
Oh, Brad, it's so good to be here. Thank you for having me, man. It's been a while.
Has been a while. It's my pleasure to do this. So, here's a question: so you've done these amazing things, and as I said, we went to your conference about Thoughtpreneur Academy and being difference makers, which I loved. And both my wife and I still use the frameworks that you taught, and we developed while there. Uh, but and you also have this new book coming out, Building Your Money Machine, which is very cool. So, how did you get here from CPA and black belt to being this thought leader on money?
So, I am an accountant by trade, by education. So I've been dealing with money, but the reality is I got here at the hands of a 6-year-old boy, believe it or not. Is that in now this will date me in 1995, 96 is the year that I became a single full-time dad. And, my son came to live with me at 5.5 years old. And I was a CPA. I was a partner in a firm. And at the same time, my partners came to me and said, we don't want to be partners with you anymore, and shoved me out the door. No cash flow, no clients, no work backlog. Uh, you know, and part of it was because I was going a different direction. I wasn't the traditional accountant, and they were very traditional, and they couldn't figure out why this accountant, me, wanted to get out and go speak and write things and do things. They said, we don't do those things. And so I ended up getting shoved out, 300,000 in debt because I just bought a home, and I'm looking at, how do I do this? How do I take care of Jeremy and do the things that I needed to do? And so I did what most entrepreneurs do. I got on the treadmill. I started running, and I was running hard. I was running long. I was doing the things that all of a sudden I start to get clients in. I start to get cash flow, and I'm looking at it going, this is working. We're doing good. And then Jeremy, 6 years old, comes running in from school one day. He says, Daddy, I drew a picture of you at school today. And so I kneel down and I get this picture, and it's in blue felt tip pen. And there I am standing in front of 2 computer screens and a phone in each ear and one on the desk ringing. And it was a moment where I could have looked at it and say, cute picture, but it really was a mirror into my soul. It was a place where I had what I call an inflection point. I had a choice to make, and that choice is I can come up with the rationalizations, the excuses. Hey, but kid, we need this. We need the roof over our heads. I need that so we can do the things that we want to do. And the profits really matter because that's how we drive things. But he's a 5.5-year-old. He's a 6-year-old. He didn't understand what profits were. And I think that if he did, and I kind of threw those excuses at him, the response back probably would have been, but Dad, I don't want your profits. I want your presence. And I was failing. And so there was a struggle for me to sit back and say, is it possible to have the dream of affecting and impacting people's lives and building a business to coexist with the gift of being a parent, to be a dad, to be the best dad that I want to be. And that was my priority. And that was that whole idea of me starting to look at it and saying, I got to do business and I got to do money differently. And that was kind of the birth of it all. It was really at the hands of him. And it was more for me to satisfy the fact of there's I got to figure this out because I don't want to fail at this. I mean, let me fail at other things, but not at being a dad, not at being a parent. And so that's how this idea of the money machine came about. That's how my fascination or obsession about money, and I don't mean it the money for money's sake. I mean the obsession around money and finances became really front focus so I could design the life, because I realized that we actually don't want the money. It's the money is a tool, it's a utility, but the reason we actually want the money is for life.
Right.
Because if I'm chasing just the money and building a big bank account, then I have this huge wealthy bank account, but I live a bankrupt life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I can't do. And so that's where the fascination came in and the study came in, and where I started to do it for myself so I could be there with Jeremy and raise him as a good father and that type of thing. And then I had clients that came to me and said, how did you do this? How did you grow your business, grow your life, grow your wealth, do the things that gave you the financial freedom? And so I started doing it with clients. I did it with my son, and here we are. But there was plenty of twists and turns along the way.
As there always
Needless
is.
to say, and lessons.
Life always has plenty of those.
Yeah.
Have an abundance of money and also an abundance of life lessons. Well, and that's brilliant, because it's true. The purpose of money is it's opportunities for experiences. That's what we
Yeah.
really want, is the experiences that come from it. And when we recognize, wow, I'm missing out on important experiences in order to be able to have some other experiences later
Yeah.
on, it's like, wait,
Yeah.
this is too high a cost.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
recognizing, wow, it's possible to have financial well-being and this life, that what's important. It doesn't have to be a trade-off.
And I think that there's a misnomer out there, because I had these people telling me this also. They said, well, Mel, all you got to do is get work-life balance. And I think balance is a myth. Balance insinuates you've got a weight in one hand, a weight in the other hand, and they're on average, it's balancing you. But that's a tug of war. That's friction, that's conflict, that's stress, that's all of that. I said, and I said, we don't want balance in our life. We actually want harmony. And harmony is a result of intent. And what am I intentionally doing versus balance, which presumes that there's this equalness between the two things that are counteracting. But I'm intentional. Like you're going to be in the season of dad or granddad or book launch or whatever it is, healing. I mean, there will be those times where you're in a season, and the key is that you're in a season by choice, that it's intentional. One of the things we did with Jeremy has nothing to do with money, but it really has to do with how do you create the richness in life, is created a calendar, and all the red zones were his. And he knew that they were not movable. This was daddy time. And then he also knew that all the other colors on the calendar, he could turn red if he needed it. And that he was always the priority, but it was intentional, it was upfront, it was something that was planned in advance, not, hey, I got some extra time, do you want to go do something? But we could both look at it. And my wife and I live our lives this way now too. We intentionally block out time a year in advance, so we know this is our time to go on a trip, to go do this, to go do that. We block it out. It's not movable.
Yeah. Wow. first I want to go back and just highlight again for everyone just that key line we said it's not about balance, it's harmony, and you have to set the intention for that because that's so key, the intentionality. And I just love that whole thing of setting out that intelligence and making these things, making the priorities non-negotiables. It's like, and we do get so caught up in our, in modern society about got to make money, got to make money, got to make money. And that's the priority and everything else falls short. It's like, but that's what the money is for ultimately, is to be able to
Yeah. Yeah.
create the opportunities to enjoy all this other stuff. And, and so what you're teaching is how to do this, the processes for how you create this, the ability to have that kind of life.
Yeah. And I think you just mentioned something that's really important. As a society, we're raised on this concept of earnings, 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 earnings. Whether it's a job, whether it's a career, whether it's a business, go earn, go earn, go earn. And we have this misconception, which I did too, that if I just earn enough, then I will be free at some point, that I will build wealth at some point. And nothing could be further from the truth. See, what they don't tell us, there was a time where that made sense because in the industrial age, when you worked and you earned and you stayed with a company for a while, they gave you something called a pension. So they gave you a lifetime income. And now, once you retired, you said, I'm good because I got this lifetime income. But then, y'all, we all started living a little longer and it got too expensive. And so they did away with it. And so then they turned around and said, here you go. Here's an IRA. Here's a 401k. Here's, a SEP IRA. They said, it's on you now. And we never got trained or talked to about this idea of building a lifetime income. And that doesn't come from the job. It doesn't come from the career. It doesn't come from the business, because the business was never meant to do that. It was meant solely to solve a problem, to give services or products, and to create a cash flow. That's what I call the earnings machine. And in the book, I call it the earnings machine. There's a second machine that, since we don't have the pensions anymore, that we need to create. That's the money machine. And the earnings machine feeds the money machine. We have to take a piece of what it is we have to build the money machine, because it is in the money machine that you will find choice, you will find freedom, you will find legacy, and you'll find control. But too often, we're just focused on the earnings machine and not the money machine. And we need to do both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So many people don't know what to do with those earnings and misuse them.
Yep.
Because it's like, well, and it's, if I have it, and here's what I want, so I'm going to spend what I have on what I want, and not thinking about that money machine. And it's like, well, at some point the earnings machine might run out.
Well, here's a new statistic that came out by Northwestern Mutual. They said the estimated need for retirement these days is up to $1.46 million, which is going, oh, wow. Okay. But the real, oh, wow, the median savings is just shy of 90,000. There's such a huge delta. There's such a huge difference. And part of it is because it's our responsibility. So I don't want to say it's not, but at the same time, I think that we have done a horrible job at opening up the conversations around money, around the need for money, because we're afraid. Like, I remember the first time, I've been in the martial arts for 40 plus years, even more now. But when I first saw the martial arts, it was a judo demonstration at a park, and I was like 9, 10 years old. And I said, I want to learn that. I want to learn that. My mom said, no, I don't want to teach you to fight, because then you'll get in a lot of fights, which, again, absolutely not, because because I've gotten less fights now, and so. But I think that there's also this element with money. If we focus on teaching money, maybe they'll get greedy. Maybe they'll, but that's not the case when you start to understand that it's a tool and how to use the tool and have the conversations and why it's important. And you're not focused on the money. You're actually, like, my book is part life, part money, part legacy. And because I don't believe you can separate the two and chase it. So, but we grew up in a society where talking about money is impolite. We don't talk about it, and the only way, unless you chase an education in it, or you're obsessed about it like I was, the only way that we get any knowledge around it is, I say that our money lessons are typically caught, not taught. They're they're observed.
Yeah.
But who are we observing? Dysfunctional money people,
Right.
or media, or social media, or we're listening to a TikTok where they say, no, go, the best investment you can do is buy a Lambo and rent it. And I'm going, and they go, that's a transfer of wealth. I go, sure it is, to the dealer. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. Just the way you talk about it's like sex, you're not supposed to talk about sex. And so if your parents are like, we can't talk about sex, then you learn it from people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, very much so. And yeah, and money is such a key part of our lives. It's not money is everything, but it's so important because we can't live in society without using it. And most of us really have so little education or tons of wrong education about what it
Yeah.
is. And so it's no wonder that we have this vast gap, well, the wealth gap, but also this gap between what we're going to need and what most people have.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that gets me is it's actually solvable. I mean, it's solvable.
Yeah.
And why we need to take care of it early. And I get it. Age and stage, we may, wherever we're at, we got to start wherever we're at. I had a kid that's in my program. He got in the program at 16 and a half. And his mom wasn't sure, but I said, let's have a conversation. So 17, on one of the calls, he says, got a job. What should I do? I said, great, open a Roth IRA. 3 weeks ago, I'm on a call with him. He says, I funded my Roth IRA. How do I invest it? I said, 17. He says, I'm 18 now. Great. He said, how much did you fund it with? Now I'm thinking he's 18 years old. What could he do? 500 bucks?
Yeah.
1,000? He said, I fully funded 2023. I go, hold on a second. You put $6,500 in for 2023? He says, yeah. I go, holy moly. He says, but I also funded 2024 already. No. Wait a second. You put 7,000 in for 24? He says, yeah. So I said, 18 years old, 13,500 invest in the account. And he says, yeah. He says to me, like, to get off the hook, he goes, well, it helps. I'm still living at home. It's like, okay. But I said, let me do the math for you, dude. Every dollar, if we just put it in an S&P 500 index fund, never touched it, never did a thing, never did anything, it will go up 107 times by the time you're 65. You are a millionaire already. If you did nothing, the only thing you have to do is avoid stupid. You're
Right.
fine, And so you look at it and say, but if we just cap out 7,000 here, 7,000 there, 7,000 there, all of a sudden, you do that till you're age 22, 23, 24. You're done. You're done. And it's in a Roth, 100% tax free. You never have to worry. And I said, this is why we need to have these conversations, because just that alone can start to solve the financial problems. And I don't mean that, I don't want to make it flippant and seem like it's so easy, because I get that it isn't easy depending where you're at.
Right.
But it isn't complex. It's simple. And we just won't talk about it. And I'm done with it. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. It's a preventable issue, and to be, yeah, and get these ideas out and say, okay, guys, it doesn't. And awesome that he's doing that at that age. It's like the old saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The
Oh yeah,
second best time to plant it is today.
exactly. When people say, "Well, is now a good time to invest?" I go, "Did you invest yesterday?" Nope. I said, "Then now's a good time."
I heard you say that
Yeah,
earlier on I
yeah,
think may have been on the webinar that I was on with you recently, where you were showing those charts of if you invest
yeah,
at this time and then you reach this, and absolutely, and for folks to recognize, oh, you know, people of our age might look at it and say, well, it's too late now for me. It's like,
yeah.
so
What's your
so what?
alternative?
What's the alternative? Is like,
Yeah. I mean, your alternative is what? Your kid's couch, government assistance? We got to get in the game.
yeah, yeah,
We
and
can't.
create that legacy of it's like my wife wrote a book called Building a Legacy of Love about the sandwich generation, but that's kind of what this is as well. I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of, it absolutely is. It's building a legacy of love, because not only are you taking care of yourself, and that's beneficial to any children you might have, but also teaching them that, and saying, okay, look, if I can do this for myself, I can show them this as well, so they're not going to be in this situation going, I should have started 20 years ago.
yeah. I think that the greatest gift we can give our children is financial literacy to the point that they become financially independent. And the second greatest gift is that we become financially independent. Because when then both of those things happen, neither one of us are showing up on a doorstep saying, I need help. And we and through the process, we teach them values and value. And now when you do it right, they grow. Now I am not one, and one of the chapters in the book talks about this is that for instance, built a money machine. Okay. And once I'm through here on earth, well, hopefully it's a long time, um, then that money machine can pass to my wife and it can pass to my son and it can pass. But but Jeremy, my son, has known and knows that he has to earn the money machine. So you don't pass assets without passing skill sets. Our responsibility is to teach, to train, to educate, to empower them, to equip them to take this on because it's a responsibility. It is not just a financial responsibility, but it is the legacy responsibility that I'm saying this is the family legacy.
Yeah.
Take care of it because I'm out of here. And now you do that. But I wouldn't if he didn't earn it, if he wasn't where he was, if he didn't take the time, it's going to charity. It's not going to him. I'm not handing it to him just because he's in the bloodline, because all of a sudden it will do, I think it'll do more damage than good in his hands at that point. But good news, he's responsible. He's 34, wife's 30, two kids, three homes, multi-million-dollar net worth. He's got it dialed in. He doesn't even need it. But but that's the gift of giving financial independence to our children.
Yeah. Well, it's like the line, I think it was Warren Buffett said, I'm going to leave my kids enough so that they don't, that they
They don't
can,
want for anything,
yeah,
but
so they don't want to, but but so that they can't, I don't want to leave them enough so that they can do nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Because you see that people have gifts and talents to share. And if we, it's like when I did a video on winning the lottery, it's like, see, my issue with the lottery is I don't want anyone to have so much money that they feel that they don't have to share their gifts and talents. It's like, then why are you here?
yeah,
Obviously have
and I
plenty of
and I
time and
I
money
like that you're
to
saying that.
enjoy life. But
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that every single one of us have a unique gift that we've been given, and it is our responsibility during our lifetime to nurture it, to develop it, and then before we leave, to give it back to the world. And that's the thing that I think that it's what drives me. I said, what's your unique gift? Let's develop it. Let's build it, and then give it, because it's not yours to possess; it's yours to give.
Reminds me of the George Bernard Shaw quote about I'm of the opinion that my whole life belongs to the community, and as long as I'm alive, it's my privilege to do for it what I can. And life is no brief candle. It's a splendid torch that I have a hold of
Yeah.
for the moment, and I choose to make it as burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations.
Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. And just I love the how beautiful is this Jeremy's picture of that's how you found out really what your gift is. There's kind of a
Yeah.
notion of I'm an accountant, but I'm not that kind. I'm not just a pencil pusher sitting, just crunching numbers. And nothing wrong with that. If that's what your gift is, because there
Oh,
are
let's
people out
face
there
it, it's
that's
boring.
you know what's boring to one person, some people geek out over.
I
It's
I totally agree.
but recognizing there's something else there, and he gave wrote this picture. It's like, Daddy, you have a gift, and this is I need to show you that you're
Yeah.
you're not on track.
It's interesting. So fast forward 2019, the gift of the birth of the money machine was at the hands of Jeremy, but the importance of it came through in 2019. Life was good, married, living on the beach, traveling, speaking, you know, life is good. And then, I literally step off a private jet. Wasn't mine, someone else's. Um,
Not that
and
there would
two
have been
weeks
anything
after
wrong with that.
I know. But it's a whole lot more cost effective when someone else is paying for
Yeah, exactly.
it. um, and so 2 weeks after I step off that jet, I find myself in a hospital bed with them saying you have cancer. They found what they thought was a 5 centimeter tumor in my bladder. Turned out to be 7.5. And he looks at me and he says, "Got to come out. It's on top of the prostate. You might lose the prostate. I can't see the ureter on the right side. We might have to put a bag and a tube in for the kidney. And if it's bad, you're going to lose the blood." So, like, in a moment, the life changed. In a moment, I sat back and says, What's this all about?" And I knew, Jeremy was on one side of the bed, Stephanie was on the other side, and I just said, "Life, I got to shut everything down." So, no more business, no more speaking, no more anything. Just heal, just fight, get in the ring. And it wasn't that. Trust me, it wasn't easy. My wife and I cried for. It was a Friday, and we cried all day Saturday, and the pain for me at that time wasn't the fear of the cancer, although it certainly wasn't, you know, exciting.
Yeah.
But the fear was, I felt like I wasn't done, and I loved life too much, and the people I shared life with. I said, the thought of me not sharing life with them, that was the fear. That was the thing that pained me the most and got me to realize, hey, I got to fight for this. No matter what the odds are, I got to fight for it. And having the money machine allowed me to shut things down and say, let's flip the switch. Let's let this thing produce cash. And instead of growing the machine even bigger, let's let it support our life. And now because I had to fight the cancer physically, medically, psychologically, energetically. I didn't have to fight it financially. And I was able to choose the doctors, to choose the therapies. I could spend days doing different things and different modalities. And I can't imagine what it would have been like to work during the day to make a living and to fight for my life at night. And so that was where it really highlighted it. But I still ended up in a really dark place looking at this and saying, why me? Why did I get the cancer? What did I do wrong? Who did I wrong? I wasn't a smoker, wasn't a drinker. I lived a healthy life. Yeah, I had a sweet tooth, but no one in my family ever had cancer. Why me? What did I do? What did I do? And I was walking on the beach. I was talking to a dear friend, and he says, "You keep searching for something you did in the past to make sense of this cancer." I said, "Yeah," and I can't find it. He says, "Did you ever think that maybe it wasn't because of something you did, but more it was about something you're meant to do? If that were the case, what would the message be? That's what gave birth to the book. That's what gave birth to openly putting this out into the world, because all of a sudden I had a way and a reason to say the cancer was a gift to me to take to the world this message that, hey, you can have financial freedom. You don't have to have financial stress. You don't have to go through this. The American Psychological Association did a study. 72% say that they have stress around money, and 22% say they have extreme stress. We should be able to solve that. Doesn't mean that there isn't challenges. It's not like I don't have any stress about money. And the market goes down, you have stress, but you understand it and you feel more in control and everything. So the cancer gave this gift to me to be able to say this, like you said, what Jeremy started, and then the cancer got me to say, this is what I was meant to give to the world. And that's how this journey, this season of my life has come about.
Wow. Wow. Powerful. Well, and it's so awesome that that you have put it out there and creating taking all of your experiences. I mean, and quite a wealth of experiences in terms of being a CPA, being a martial artist, being a speaker, and now as a cancer survivor, and being able to then create that legacy and help other folks, take care of business. So that
Yeah, yeah,
taking care of the business of money so you can enjoy the business of life, and
without a doubt.
really have the wonderful life that is our birthright.
I think that we grow up and they tell you, well, you only have a limited time here. I, you don't take it seriously until you're staring that limited time in the face. And now you're sitting back going, oh, you're right. We got only a certain number of slices of life in us. Hopefully, there are a lot. But since we don't know how many they are, and this kind of leads to my idea of legacy and why finances and everything become so important, is that it's important for us to, whatever those slices are, to live them fully, to express them fully, to know that each moment matters. And so many people, when they hear the talk about legacy or something, they think about this is what we build to leave behind for people. Wow, that's nothing to do with legacy. Legacy is what we leave within people by the way we live each moment of the day. And if we know, it could simply be an I'm proud of you, a thank you that can shift someone's life and change the trajectory because someone was nice to them, someone that made a difference, someone gave the moment the reverence it deserved, that shifted something for them. And I think that when we do that, we actually live our legacy each and every day. And what is left behind is within the people we touched and not within just a bunch of assets. And the reason we have the assets is to allow us to give the legacy or the time it's just due.
Okay, I'm like seriously verklempt right now. Just that idea of the the kind word that you say to somebody in a store, and the feeling that leaves, and you've left a legacy just in that moment.
Yeah.
Not it's just like, oh, it's going to be this how much money I leave behind, or not necessarily money, but it's the hospital that I build that has my name on it,
Yeah.
or that, but
My
just
wife
the
came
idea
from
that we're
Philly. She
leaving a
thought I
legacy.
wanted my wife came from Philly. She thought I wanted a Rocky statue. I said, I said, look, it would be nice. I told her when I'm gone that we're just going to stuff me and I'm going to stand in the bedroom like this. And she's going, you are creepy. but it's not. I think that's the thing is that we tend to think about what we're going to leave behind. How about looking at how we live in the moment?
Yeah.
And the reason I want the wealth is because then I can choose how to spend the moments. I want a life of choice, a
Yeah.
life of options. And
Yeah.
now I can sit back and say, I'll be there. I can do that.
Yeah. And that's really it. Just creating the ability to choose,
Yeah.
that freedom of choice and the opportunities to live life the way you want. Awesome. Awesome. Well, the book isn't out yet, so I have not had a chance to read. I've read about it, and obviously I've been to your workshops and webinars, and know the genius of how you share your gift, and thank you very much for the legacy that you are already leaving on a regular basis.
Brad, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on this and having a chance to open up the discussion. I think that financial freedom is a birthright, and we just got to figure out, the pathway to claim it. And I want to try and light the path.